Ladies and gentlemen, this is Chris Branson, host of From the Cheap Seats Wrestling Podcast, welcoming you to a dreary, cloudy, rainy outside today here in Central Texas. We've already had a little bit of excitement from the skies, and tonight we're expecting a little bit more excitement with the first round or first night of the WWE annual draft. Now, with that being said, tonight's show is mainly going to surround Dynamite, SmackDown, some scuttlebutt, as well as I'd like to sit on a little bit of what Trevor Lee may end up doing leaving WWE and how he probably is going to end up the next Matt Cardona. You know, he's going to be a proven promotable, beneficial commodity to any company that he's with. Um, and I'm going to get into a little bit of the stupidity of what dumb things people say on national television. That and more. Let's go ahead and start with Dynamite. I know I talked the other day about how Dynamite has a Dynamite or Collision or Rampage have a major disconnect to their pay-per-views. Pay-per-views, great, 5 stars. You know, Meltzer gave somebody 6.75 stars the other day, but usually stars end at 5. So that being said, the night started with obviously the elite of Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the EVPs, and Kazuchika Okada, as well had an arrival of the scapegoat, the former Jungle Boy, Jack Perry. Now, as they got to the building, security stopped Jack Perry, saying he was not in, but of course, the VPs, using their power, walked him through the door. We go from there to the best friends and this ongoing three-way saga with Orange, Trent Beretta, and Chucky Taylor. That being Orange Cassidy, by the way, I just said. And we see Orange Cassidy getting knocked out the entranceway there at Daly's place, to where, you know, Beretta beats him down, talks him down a little bit, and then he sits there and waits for Chucky T, sexy Chucky T, Chuck Taylor to show up. And Chuck is pretty much telling him, hey, look, we ain't cool no more. I don't know what your problem is with what Orange does, blah, blah, blah. And then proceeds to light Trent up a little bit before they go to break. To see the best friends explode, and then, this eventual Trent Beretta versus Chuck Taylor feud. It's going to be interesting. The past 5 years of Dynamite, you've seen literally these three usually all the time together. Now they're going to go their separate ways. Orange, you really don't have to worry about. This, I think, is kind of setting up Trent Beretta for an eventual major singles run. Chucky T kind of gets lost in the sauce, but he's talented, so I don't think he's going to be lost in the sauce all that long. The next match was Swerve Strickland, the brand new AEW heavyweight champion, versus Kyle Fletcher, the Ring of Honor World Television champion, in an eliminator match for the AEW championship. Now, here's where the disconnect comes. Okay, Swerve and Fletcher threw a hell of a match together. Swerve, you can't argue with his quality. Fletcher, we know Kyle Fletcher is an understudy, a protege, a training partner of the aerial assassin Will Ospreay. But here's the thing. Why was it booked in the first hour, and why was Swerve not allowed to talk? Now, we're going to get him talking come Collision on Saturday, but still, this is where junior learning Booker should listen to his veterans. Listen to what the veterans tell him he should be doing during the course of the evening. The action itself does itself justice. That's not in question. It's how you book and how you structure the show is what's the problem. Now, I can't sit there and say that I know what I'm talking about. I'm sure I don't. I've never booked a wrestling show. I'm just a talking head with an opinion that you can choose to listen to or not listen to. But it was ultimately it was a great match in the wrong spot. You could have had both your eliminator matches. One had the hour, one was the bottom or the end of the hour leading up into that final segment. But no harm, no foul. It got the point across. Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo, the backstage segment between the two of them, post the match with Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm, timeless, Toni Storm, at Dynasty. I mean, there's a burgeoning feud there. It's two really good women, two really talented women. So I'm really kind of excited to see where this goes between Deonna Purrazzo, the Virtuosa, and Thunder Rosa, La Mera Mera. And real quick shout out to Mission Pro Wrestling, Thunder Rosa's promotion down there in San Antonio. If you get a chance to go see one of their shows, whether they're running shows with River City Wrestling, also another promotion in San Antonio, or run across Reality of Wrestling there in Houston. So, you don't have to pay me for the free promotion. Just know that I watch everything and anything that is Texas bound in regards to professional wrestling. Outside of the shameless pops, they moved on to Anna Jay and Mina Shirakawa with Mariah May. Now, the match was good. Of course, Anna Jay took the loss, which, if you're debuting, do you really win? Most times, a debut comes with a loss or a loss in nefarious means. And Mina is not necessarily a Joshi that, is going to use a heel tactic to win a match. So, that being said, it filled the minutes that it needed. It maximized the minutes it needed to. It was a really good women's wrestling match. I can't complain. AEW has been pretty decent about their women's division and their product. Their booking and their storylines are another thing, but that's not for today to talk about. It's not. It's just no. And then, of course, Anna Jay gets a little mad that these two are celebrating, goes and slaps them around a little bit. Toni Storm comes out and saves them. Toni going a little over the top with her character, which is perfectly fine, is holding Mariah May to her bosom. And then, of course, later we have the exclusive video of whatever promo Toni was putting together. Then we see the professor of professional wrestling in regards to women's wrestling, Serena Deeb, come out, indicating that she would like a chance or a next chance at Timeless Toni Storm's Women's World Championship there in AEW. A technical wrestler versus a Toni Storm has a wealth of knowledge, but Serena Deeb is like the Dean Malenko of women's wrestling. She knows things. She uses things. She stretches you, making you feel things. Yeah. I am excited to see where that's going to go long term with those two. Then we moved into the Willow Nightingale Championship celebration of her victory over Julia Hart at Dynasty with Stokely Hathaway and Chris Statlander. If I was not a podcaster and I was just a casual fan, I would probably turn that off. but because I knew kind of where it was going and what it was setting up to the eventual confrontation between her and Mercedes Moné. Um, I mean, I got the point. You know, this is a rehash or a revisit to when the two met in Japan for the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Women's Championship, in which Mercedes Moné ends up getting injured and loses to Willow. So she's out to get her revenge, which that's fine. You know, I mean, I get it. We're holding off Mercedes till the best possible major pay per view that AE holds, i.e., uh, Double or Nothing, All In, All Out. The ones that are really the key marquee yearly pay per views. I get cool. You know, it will put butts in seats. Those are two really talented women. Just hopefully their feud doesn't get lost in the sauce like everything else does. They're in AEW. The Casino Gauntlet Eliminator, or not Eliminator, but Gauntlet Scramble, I guess they were calling it. For lack of a better term, on prior service, so we tend to use this term quite often in the military. It was a gaggle fuck. It was foobarred. I got the point of where it was going, and this was for a shot at the international championship that Roderick Strong has, uh, of the Undisputed Kingdom, by the way, just so anybody isn't aware that where Roderick Strong hangs his hat is which, in regards to which faction. Um, Will Ospreay, slow burn him to the top. Yes, he had this, I would say, a 10-star classic. I'm going to violate my own 5 stars here, but it's worth 2 full matches worth of 5 stars against Bryan Danielson, regardless of the end result. But I would slow burn him to the top. And don't take him away. Let Swerve have a long run with the AEW Championship. You want to make that meaningful. You want to kind of take the stench off of, how black champions have been portrayed or the short runs they get, because, it's quite insulting to black talent, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not black, but it's quite insulting when you only give them short runs, when you only allow them to prove so much on television. There are men and women who are black, who are amazing talents and deserve a long run. You just can't give it to women. You have to give it to both sides of the coin, men and women. With that being said, you had the obvious post-match face-off between Ospreay and Strong. Ospreay, we all know his resume. Roderick Strong is a little more heavy-handed. He's the king or the master of the backbreaker in its many iterations. I look forward to seeing that match. I think it's going to be fun. It's gonna get the crowd going. Maybe an opener to their next pay-per-view there at Double or Nothing. Then we had the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho, condescending the crowd who a couple of nights before, told him to go away or to retire. I get it. You think that you still have a lot to give. And I'm not telling Chris Jericho one way or another way he should do with his career, his life, whatever. It's not my place, not my concern. But the fans are getting tired of seeing him on TV. They want to see what AEW was meant for, which is to be a new face alternative to WWE. And it's honestly, WWE is putting out more new faces than AEW has been in regards to building and establishing talent, as well as, making their talent relevant. Big Bill, I'm wondering if we aren't seeing Ricky Starks, literally being done with AEW, and I guess the tag team between him and Big Bill no longer exists. So maybe Ricky Starks is WWE bound. I don't know. He may be dealing with an injury, so let's not speculate too much. But it's going to be interesting to see where this collaboration, this congregation between Big Bill and Chris Jericho goes. The Callis family wound licking is what I call this. Of course, you have Fletcher, who suffered the loss earlier in the night to Swerve Strickland, kind of, apologizing for letting the family down. Don Callis kind of not being too sympathetic to Kyle Fletcher, and then, him trying to tell Ospreay, "Hello, hey, by the way, don't get rid of the Storm or Tiger Driver 91." There's a story to be told as to why Ospreay might feel like he needs to get away from a move. I mean, the guy is uber talented with whatever move he really can pull off. The Os Cutter, the Flying Os Cutter, Hidden Blade, etc., etc. You really don't have to worry about having some shoulder-driven, short-arm power bomb, whatever you want to call it, being inside your repertoire, especially with head and neck issues that people do develop over the course of time as professional wrestlers. You want to think about longevity of the talent, not necessarily always putting up a 5-star match and being, paying the ultimate price, as Ric Flair is so famously known for, putting out there. That you don't want to always, you want to give the crowd their money's worth, but not at the expense of the longevity of your career. And, yes, Don Callis is a douchebag on television. There's allegations, and I mean, I'm probably playing into more of the facetious, humorous ends, that he's not even well liked in his own hometown, there in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. But I kind of see Fletcher now also potentially leaving with Ospreay when Ospreay finally fully turns face. I mean, it's not to say he isn't a baby face now, but kind of think he'll surprise you. But Kyle Fletcher, young man, is a hell of a wrestling talent himself. He had a really good mentor, or has a really good mentor in Ospreay. It's quite fortunate that Kyle Fletcher is able to still wrestle and work with said individual who mentored him. But we're going to see where that goes. I know I'm flowing through here. Usually I'm pretty slow. But next we had Mox and Powerhouse Hobbs. John Moxley, Powerhouse Hobbs. It sucks whenever somebody gets injured during the course of a match, and I kind of see why they called what they called in regards to an audible, going from something that was could have probably been a stand-up bump or segment, and went straight to the bulldog choke to finish the match. I pray that that Hobbs is all right, that there's no major structural damage to leg, knee, wherever the injury that he sustained afflicts. Powerhouse Hobbs is one hell of a super heavy, or not super heavyweight, but a very powerful heavyweight, who has a bright future in professional wrestling in regards to what he does. we're gonna see what doctors and what is the prognosis for that injury here in the next coming days. So as soon as it'll be put out here what Hobbs is going through. And then the segment to end the night. The You kind of knew it was going there, but you didn't want to kind of go. Okay, this is gonna happen, but then it happens. Segment of the night. So of course, earlier in the night after they arrived, you saw them walk out of Tony Khan's office. Now, uh, obviously, you had Perry and Okada, and I believe it was Matthew. Or, no, it was Nicholas that patted Alex Marvez on the head as they were walking out without saying a word. And then you had Matthew who just stopped there and, everything will be explained in the ring at the end of the night. Oh, okay. So, of course, they gave Jack Perry a microphone, and his skills on the mic have gotten a lot better with his time away from AEW there in New Japan. His suspension from All In London. This has the potential, this storyline itself, a all elite wrestling Civil War, whatever is being forebooked here in both fans' minds and the company's mind, has the potential of drawing a lot of eyes if you pull in both your casual audience and your hardcores. You don't make it corny down the middle, and you make it count. This is why I say the disconnect with the Dynamite Collision Rampage booking needs to shore up real quick, because you have a potential to have $1 million idea and 1 million view audience with this. The way it goes. I mean, you had Jack Perry out there kind of asking politely Tony Khan, hey, I've learned the error of my ways. I know you suspended me, but hey, can I come back? And hey, we were getting right to that point where, hey, okay, all is good, all is well. You can return to the ring here in AEW. Then when they hugged, of course, you always got to love the good old heel swerve when Jack Perry is laying his head on Tony's shoulder and he gives you that smirk to the camera and then nails him in the stomach with the microphone. Then the Bucks give Tony the EVP trigger and then lay him out with the Tony Khan driver, the Meltzer driver, whatever it's called this week. The Indie Taker, I think that's what the name was previously. It kind of made you go, oh, okay, what are they cooking? You had Shad Khan, principal owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, the owner of AEW in a sense, along with Tony, owner of Fulham. I think it's Fulham. I'm probably wrong. It could be Tottenham Hotspur, but a Fulham football club there in England even come out as if, holy shit, this wasn't planned. We'll see where this goes, but it has potential. It has legs. You just you gotta let it crawl. You gotta let it stand up and walk. So probably going to be excited as long as they don't fumble this, to see where this goes. And the second topic here I had on my little run sheet is my perspective on the here, there, and everywhere booking of AEW. Now, AEW, like WWE, their shows in some areas are the showcases, like Level Up for NXT, or what used to be Dark and Elevation for AEW, to where these new faces got their exposure and then they got bumped up to the bigger shows, NXT, Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision. Okay, but I think a lot of it is where you put the matches on the card, and with a company, is another company's championship more important than ours? Or is ours need to be kind of heralded up here, but still give reverence and respect to said other company's championship, which is on one of my contracted talent? Ergo, how Swerve Fletcher and Mox Hobbs were parked on the card. Would I have put him there that way? No. Like I said, I would have put both of them on the second hour. If you really were going to let Mox kind of take the star front there at the end of the night before the Bucks brouhaha, okay, give Swerve 5 minutes to open the 8 o'clock hour or 9 o'clock hour, depending on what time zone you're in. Then, let Fletcher come out there, do a little bit of healing on Swerve while, getting ready to get engaged match, and then go from there, after the Chris Jericho Big Bill segment and going into Mox and Hobbs. You know, let them have 15 minutes. The match in between the two, or the segment in between the two, have about 10, 15 minutes to breathe there, or 10 minutes to breathe there, and then the next 15 and the last 10 for what happened at the end of the night. Oh, and a little bit of policing back my stuff in regards to the first topic. Takashita coming out after the Moxley Hobbs match. Takashita is an amazing talent, an amazing in-ring worker, hell of a heel. Him and Moxley, I venture to say Mox already gets pretty bloody to begin with, but this match is blood will pour when these two lock up on a pay-per-view. So, yeah, I'm excited to really see where that match, that storyline, that feud is going to direct. Now, I mean, are people probably getting tired of the Don Callis family versus the Blackpool Combat Club? Sure. But yeah, it will, we will see where this is going. And like I said, hopefully, honestly, whatever, I hope Tony Khan takes his veterans aside, the ones that can book or have booking knowledge, and let them kind of help him with the pencil and the run sheet and where these matches need to be put on a card. So that way you're not having fans off and on watch your show. So your ratings stay steady instead of dipping and rising and dipping and rising, because the dip and rise never helps. WWE is smart and big enough to let you kind of imagine where they're going with uh, certain segments, where they're going to be placed during the course of a night. With this new stuff that WWE has been doing, they kind of telegraph it to you now. Hey, at the 8 o'clock hour, 9 o'clock hour, 10 o'clock hour, we're going to hear from X, Y, and Z, or we're going to get this match at this hour, or the bottom of the hour, or yada yada yada. Tony, if you ever see this podcast, I hope you do, or I hope you give it a chance to be watched. Let those guys that have years and years and years and decades and decades and decades. And one guy in particular that a certain somebody said the other day that everybody kind of snipes at, because he's not wrong. If you can't take creative criticism and really understand why it's there, you tend to lose the set of eyes that one moment we're interested in, oh hey, this is cool, and then the next, oh well, that was unexpected, or did that make sense? Not necessarily, but we'll see. I mean, you got Dustin Rhodes. I'm sorry for getting a little bit off topic on my little rant there, but utilize Dustin Rhodes. Man sat under one of the ultimate learning trees in regards to a booking, a territory, a show, whatever. Allow him to be one of your creative guys. Don't let it be the younger folks. Let it be your men who have seen it, done it, been around it, uh, benefited from it, or even, suffered because of it. They will tell you best how something should go. Then, to end this one, let's go back to Tony Khan. Tony, it was amazing what you did last night in selling that injury. And even this morning, talking to NFL Network. Much kudos to you, much respect. It's hard to be mad at a guy that is willing to sell for his craft, his company, so on and so forth. But then you chose to use a few surprising comments during the course of your interview, saying that y'all are the Pepsi of professional wrestling. Was that a shot at a person who has a Pepsi tattoo on their arm? And then you call WWE the Harvey Weinstein of professional wrestling. Now, yes, there is been chaos, controversy, scandal in WWE. If you've been around it for the last 40 years and you're at least a hardcore or at least a casual fan with any common knowledge of professional wrestling history, yes. We have all lived it. We have all feared it. We have all speculated on it. WWE hasn't been without scandal. Whether it's executives with their pants on and off, or continuing shows after somebody literally died in the ring, WWE has had their moments. But to call them the Harvey Weinstein, that's bordering on slander. And be careful with saying that. Yes, WWE is the Coca-Cola. They are the big dog. They are pretty much everywhere and anywhere in much of the United States and world. And yes, Pepsi is their number 2 competitor. Leave it at that. Or the WWE is the Yankees while y'all are the Devil Rays. Franchise that is trying to reach the pinnacle of baseball, going up against a 27-time or 28-time World Series champion. And trying to stake your claim firmly as its competitor. Go back to when y'all were an alternative. That's what attracted fans to y'all. That's what didn't drive the casual fan away when they kind of recognized, oh, hey, yay, they're referencing WWE. For some of us who, I was in the camp of being excited that AEW was coming about. Because besides TNA/Impact at the time and New Japan, which they really had not done too many North American tours, all you had was WWE. And you were getting sick and tired of the Vince era booking, but then, go swerve this way, and I think AEW needs a PR person kind of to better spin their president and CEO's comments than to open up a can of worms that now, and we've seen WWE be really successful on provoking back other companies, subtly or not so subtly, especially in interviews. But you want wrestling fans to be less tribalistic, and then you go and do that. You're going to have your defenders, you're going to have your, sympathizers, your explainers on both sides of the coin, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine because you know what? That's professional wrestling. But we all want to enjoy both products. We're not in the era of WCW versus WWE anymore. We're in the era of we have all this wealth of professional wrestling being broadcast on our television screens weekly. Let's enjoy it, herald it, instead of shitting on it. We have new bookers in WWE for the first time in 40 years. The man that everybody despised, and by the time he got, just sold the majority of the rest of his stock. So the man is no longer tied to WWE after almost 50 years of his life. We are living in the Triple H era now, the Paul Levesque era, the TKO era. This is not Titan Towers. Jack Tunney is not president of WWE, but never was. But point is, we are looking forward, not back. Let's start with the entendres and barbs to try to shoot at each other. And let's just make this fun. Going from there, I'm going to go in real quick to draft night number 1. I'm going to try to finish this in about an hour or right at the hour mark. So that way you're not too incredibly bored with hearing me talk. Draft night number 1. So, of course, draft rules are that your champions are locked, except for the women's tag team champions. And we'll discuss more of that on Monday. I'm going to do a Monday to where I think WWE and AEW should take their various championships and how they should put them on TV. SmackDown gets Friday night's first pick. Monday Night Raw gets Monday night's first pick. So I'm going to do it in an order of that. I'm going to do just the first 10 I think are going to be going between point A and point B. While I'm doing that and reading off the sheet that I made, I'm going to also put it on the ticker here on the bottom of the screen, what I think is going to happen between both shows. So, if I can get my mouse working here. With SmackDown night number 1. Right down here on the bottom, I've got everybody listed, but I'm going to read off the list anyhow. Going number 1 to SmackDown is the Bloodline, Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Paul Heyman. Bianca Belair will be SmackDown's second pick. So keeping her there firm around Montez and the Profits and the Pride. Making his return to Friday Night SmackDown will be main event Jey Uso. Following that with the number 4 pick, and I think he's a future WWE champion himself. With the 4th pick, I'm going with Braun Breaker, the son of Rick Steiner, the dog-faced gremlin, and Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner. Uncle Scott Steiner. With the 5th pick overall in the 2024 draft, I am going with Randy Orton for SmackDown. Of course, Randy can pick whatever show he wants to really be on, but SmackDown seems the right place for him, especially with all the parts that are on SmackDown currently and all the potential matches that are to come. Number 6, first pick from NXT. And it's a woman. The former NXT World Women's Champion. That has a nice ring to it. Lyra Valkyria. Following that, a former NXT champion himself, former United States champion during his time on Raw before the pandemic, before he sojourned to the lands of AEW. I'm going with Andrade El Idolo. Following him at number 8, if you're keeping track here, is the irresistible force, the annihilator, the juggernaut of the women's division right now. Shout out to X-Men 97. Really good cartoon. If you ever get a chance to watch it on Disney Plus. Nia Jax, number 8. Number 9. I'm going with the Queen of Spades. I'm breaking up a tag team. Queen of Spades is making her return to the Blue Brand, to where they're going to book her as a mega heel. I think it's coming. And to finish tonight, going based off the draft pool, I'm going to go with the tag team. I put it down here as his original, maybe his legal name, and then, Ashante the Adonis, Tahuti Miles, and Cedric Alexander. Someone that you can build a division into, and you can give Cedric Alexander, which he has sorely needed a purpose post the Hurt Business days. Now, 2 other names that I think are going to be possible that SmackDown drafts tonight is Carmelo Hayes, the one-of-one generational talent from NXT, which indeed he really is what he says he is a once-in-a-generation talent to come out of developmental, which, we might as well go back to seeing it as a third brand. And then my female pick in regards to alternates to my first 10 for SmackDown is actually Blair Davenport. I think the women's division needs a more sinister, cunning heel, and that's what Blair Davenport can be. She showed it as Bea Priestley before coming to WWE, so I can see her potentially getting drafted tonight to the Blue Brand. Switching to Monday Night Raw, with Raw's number 1 pick, I'm going to go out on a limb with a surprise here from NXT. The now former NXT World Men's Champion, or World Heavyweight, or whatever you want to call it, World Champion, Ilya Dragunov, the Mad Dragon. Where that potentially leads, I think Imperium stays on Raw as well come Monday night. So I don't think we're going to see Imperium make an address change, but who knows? Number 2, the MVP of WrestleMania, pretty much the MVP of the company over the last couple of years. I was going to use a Corey Graves line, and that's not something Seth Rollins has ever been called. The architect, the visionary, the revolutionary, Seth freaking Rollins. Following him is a first ballot, a Hall of Famer when the day comes. He is truly what his moniker, his nickname, his catch line for many of his years in professional wrestling has been phenomenal. I am going with the phenomenal one, At number 3, AJ Styles. Now I'm going to kind of do something a little different here, considering, we're probably going to see Rhea on Raw too when she gets back from injury. So I'm going to go with her most recent partner, that former partner, mind you, that she has been clashing with, Liv Morgan. And Liv would like to remind you to watch me. Not me, her, but watch me too. Shameless plug. Following Liv at number 5 is the highlight of the night, the megastar, the man that makes everybody go, yeah, LA Knight. I think he's making an address change along with AJ Styles over to the red brand. Following LA Knight is the current, because I kind of think this also ties into CM Punk in a little bit. This is her graduation from the black and gold to the red. Is Roxanne Perez. I think Roxanne Perez may be taking a trip up to the red brand. Following them, all those other previous picks at number 7, without the Academy. So there's another tag team I just broke up. I mean, we're not speaking to what is being rumored or fantasy booked to happen, but without his Academy, Chad Gable. Number 8, another tag team that I surreptitiously broke up. Number 8, a future women's world champion. Woman can talk, she can wrestle. She's beautiful regardless of how you feel. The only Zoe Stark. Another tag team that I'm going to break up. And I think, with her little run-ins with Nick Aldis, she's kind of stood out the same way as Chelsea Green. Isla Dawn. Isla Dawn is breaking away from Alba Fire, or Kaylee Ray, whatever you're going to call her this week. She's moving to the red brand, Monday Night Raw. And to finish the top 10 of draft eligible tonight, if they're not going to permanently stay down there in NXT land, the Good Brothers, Machine Gun Carl Anderson, Doc Luke Gallows, the Good Brothers, along with their confidant and fellow wrestler Mia Yim or Michin. Now, my possible other alternatives, kind of splash and surprise for red brand, a female from NXT, who, according to the dirt sheets that don't know Bupkis, Fallon Henley is going to come up to the red brand from NXT. Also, a guy that's kind of riding solo right now. I mean, there's a lot of things going on in his partner's life and one of his closest friends / manager's life now, with Raymond Rowe and Sarah Rowe, otherwise known as Eric and Valhalla. Obviously, congratulations to the two of them on the announcement of the forthcoming second child that they are having together, as well as Raymond Rowe's still recovering from, I believe, a neck fusion surgery or something to do with repairing the good old spinal stem there. Ivar is proving himself as a super heavyweight commodity. Somebody to watch along, a la Bronson Reed, a la Otis, if you book Otis right and don't make him all just comedy. I think Ivar is going to stay on the red brand. Another option between the two shows may use is the Lone Wolf, Baron Corbin. We all saw him lose to Lexus King, which kind of makes you think they're giving him his right off to potentially ascend in the brand. Watch out for Baron Corbin to go to either Raw or SmackDown. He may follow Braun Breaker to SmackDown, though. That's where I think this is going. And then finally, to kind of run the next about 5-10 minutes down, Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes, Trevor Lee, was a talent that Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy, during their time running Omega, cultivated. He is a second-generation talent. He is amazingly talented. I think it is absolutely crazy that he got released, especially, since it's been said that he trained with and was teaching Logan Paul a lot of the stuff that he now knows in regards to inside the ring. I think it was a mistake. I think this was miscommunication between TKO and WWE proper. I mean, mind you, Top Dog, subsidiary, along with UFC here. But Cameron Grimes should have never got let go. Point blank. He is too valuable in different areas of wrestling. He is shows a willingness, and as you've heard in interviews since then, a want to learn the business beyond just in the ring, or be beneficial to it outside in the ring, but not on TV. I think when it's all said and done, and he makes his return to WWE, because I think he's going to probably head to TNA. When he makes his return to WWE, he will have somewhat like a Matt Cardona run, where he's establishing himself beyond just the Zack Ryder gimmick. That he's making himself valuable and marketable and thisable and thatable. Trevor Lee is the next Matt Cardona. Trevor Lee is going to be that one where Trevor Lee is the next Cody Rhodes. Trevor Lee is the next Drew McIntyre, where he goes away for a little bit, then he comes back and shows them what they were missing and what they should have capitalized on when he was there. 52 minutes in, now almost 53 minutes in. What else to talk about? Do I really want to burn air? Sort of like a personal side note, watching this today, I want to put it out there. I want to thank everybody between the socials and text messages and phone calls that I've gotten today. My dad got put in the hospital Wednesday. My dad is a Vietnam veteran. I am very proud of my father for his service and inspiring me to serve myself in my younger years and my younger adult years in life. It really gave me perspective when I served, what he went through when I was a child. He is my hero. He is my hero. He is a resilient man. He is a tough man. I'm not going to go into the semantics of what's ailing him, but life is catching up to him. His experiences in Vietnam, as well as his military and civil service beyond that, are slowly creeping up to finally, pay their tolls. I do ask in the forthcoming days to continue praying or sending healing vibes, whatever you're comfortable in doing, his direction. I am very thankful for not only the crowd of friends that I have via my association and fandom of the Texas Longhorns down here in Texas, but as well professional wrestling. A lot of you guys have been really kind, sincere. The community, we all get looked at weird because we love professional wrestling. Um, but at the end of the day, we're all just people, and it doesn't serve anybody any time, any discernible time. It doesn't earn you money to hate, whether you're Jewish, Palestinian, white, black, Hispanic, gay, straight, trans, Martian, Venetian. All kidding aside, you know, take a second in the coming days to be thankful and to understand why you are thankful for certain things. I am thankful for my dad. I am thankful for the man he has watched me become, the advice he has imparted during some of my triumphs and personal struggles. You know, I'm trying not to get emotional with recording this part, but if it happens, it happens. Um, but he's also, along with my grandfather, one of the main reasons why I watch professional wrestling. You know, why I got into this sports performance art. Um, I don't know where my mind would be if anything serious happened to him. Right now, thankfully, he is in good doctors' hands, and they are forecasting a long-term plan so that he will still squeeze the orange of life and get a few more drops of years to his life still. Um, but thank you. You don't have to take your time to come out of your way to just to think of him or say something positive about him in regards to sending him positive affirmations, vibes, whatever you want to call it, or prayers. But it is appreciated. Um, it surely doesn't make a person feel alone. Um, but with that being said, since I've gotten better at wrapping all this up with a nice little bow at the hour mark. Just remember that you can catch me most times Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Mondays to previews or review SmackDown, Collision, pay-per-views or PLEs, um, and preview Raw. The same thing with Wednesdays, reviewing Raw and NXT, and previewing Dynamite, and of course Fridays. Uh, we're gonna call it What the Fridays in regards to whatever rants within the world of professional wrestling I might throw out there, just from things I see. Um, this has been Chris Branson from the Cheap Seats Wrestling Podcast. Hoping and wishing you all a wonderful weekend, and um, just be a good somebody to somebody. With that being said, I am out. Good day.